Coach Becca here, and thank you for joining me today. For our in-season workout, you're going to need a ball or a tennis ball, lacrosse ball will work, a sturdy chair that you can step onto, and light to moderate weights, which will be different for everybody, so just do what your body can do. And let's get started with some injury prevention work. We're going to begin by just rolling out the bottoms of our feet, pressing our heel, instep, arch, forefoot, all into the ball, just kind of getting some release for the bottoms of the feet there. Again, the purpose of this workout is, and this workout series, because I'm going to do several more following this, is to accent a good endurance training plan. So obviously a lot of us spend a lot of time doing our respective sport, whether that's hiking, running, cycling, swimming. We can switch sides here. Triathlon, it's a lot of hours. So we're going to keep our workouts efficient, injury prevention focused, and definitely with the idea of complementing what our primary sports training plan is doing. So this shouldn't break you down. You shouldn't be sore from these workouts. We want to save all of our energy for our main sport, but we want to make sure we're strong and have resilience at the end of our races and competition. So that's kind of the purpose of this upcoming series. So now that the feet have been nice and rolled out, we're going to take the ball. And if you have any shoulder injuries, you can just do this without the ball. But all we're going to do is do some 90-degree rotations. So you're just going to take the ball or just the palm of your hand if you don't want to use the ball, and you're going to do some internal rotation and then external rotation back to the start. If you can go a little bit further past the start point, that's fine. This should all be pain-free. So we're working on joint strength and health here. So you want to keep that elbow at 90 degrees and in line with the shoulder, and focus on maximizing your space, your movement in that shoulder joint. Sometimes I like to put a little palm there just to remind my brain that I'm focused on the shoulder joint. So about 5 to 8 of these I would recommend doing. I'll be sure to show you some different angles too, but this is a common one that I do with my own training and the swim team that I work with as well. So think of your freestyle catch and pull if you're a swimmer, kind of strengthening that swim specific movement. If you're not a swimmer, still great to build strength in that shoulder joint. So all right, let's switch sides. Here we go. And again, I know I've said it before, but you don't have to use the ball. The ball is just going to add a little bit more resistance, I suppose, if you will, to the movement. So we are doing joint strength training. Sometimes I like to call mobility training joint strength training because people don't give it enough credit and they tend to not make time for it. So mobility training is strength training. It's just joint specific, which is, in my opinion, more important. But to each their own. So here we go. We're working on the other side now. We've got a few left here of our 90-90s. Just keep that elbow up. Keep your focus on the shoulder. Great thing to do would be to inhale and exhale to help time this movement and to work on your breath. All right, we're going to shoulder cars next. Again, you don't have to use the ball here, but you can. You're just going to lift your arm straight up overhead. When your hand is at the highest point, you're going to rotate it as far as you can in the opposite direction. So we're just kind of practicing the movements of the shoulder here, rotation, flexion, extension. And I just kind of want you in your mind thinking create space or find space in the shoulder joint. Kind of like you're just giving yourself a little movement screen to say, how do my shoulders and how does my posture feel today? Because if we're being honest, each day it's probably going to be different. If I were to go back and do the exercises I did in this video today, I'd probably get some different feedback in my shoulders because of my training. So, just give yourself a lot of grace here and do this with intention. So take your time. I like to inhale and exhale with each part. So inhale as I raise up, exhale as I reach down, just to kind of keep myself going slow and controlled. All right, we switch to the other side here. If you're brand new to this, if you've never done it before, definitely recommend doing it just body weight without any added resistance, so you might find your range of motion is more limited. You could also do this movement standing next to a wall. Inhale, lift up, rotate, and exhale. just taking your time and kind of giving your shoulders some attention and checking in with them. Again, all movements should be pain-free. They can be challenging, but we need to be pain-free, as I've mentioned in previous sessions. All right, nice job. So we've got the shoulders nice and checked in. Let's move on. We're gonna work on the knee joint next. So you don't need the tennis ball or your lacrosse ball for any other movement, so you can put that away for the day. Just sit on your tush here. We're gonna flex at the ankle and just focus on our tibia or shin bone. We're gonna keep our foot flexed and we're just gonna rotate inwards as far as we can and outwards. So I'll just kind of give you a close look here. I like to do about 12 of these. Just practicing that rotation through the knee joint. Really good for injury prevention. A lot of problems happen through the knee, and kind of just a unique thing that we actually can rotate through our knee joint, and maybe you didn't know that before, but I'm just going to start adding some extension in as I rotate. So there was a nice little extension from the knee or straightening of the leg, and I'm just going to take that into a knee car. So after some specific rotations, some flexion extensions, I'm taking this into a full car. So like what we did in the shoulder joint, all you're gonna do is rotate up, rotate in, while flexing and extending. So CAR stands for controlled articular rotation, and you can do them at any joint. Just take your time, kind of pretend like you're drawing a giant teardrop with your big toe, and kind of lead the movement from the toe. So start by rotating the foot out and then rotating the foot in. Okay, let's try the other side. So just kind of baby step progress. So we'll start with just the rotations, add in the flex, extend, and then take it to a knee car. So just practicing. I like to even look down and you can really see that shin, and it's just kind of nice to make a nice little connection with your body in that sense. So, or sometimes I'll have my younger athletes place a hand on their shin bone just to kind of get a better feel for it, but do what you want to do here. All right, take that into a little extension while the foot's rotated out. And then by the same token, rotate the foot inwards and go into a little extension. And we're just going to tie it all together here with some cars. So rotate the foot outwards. I like to start with that one. Extend, rotate the foot in, and then just flex at the knee joint. Again, extend while we're rotated in and go back to where you started. So just a couple of those. If you are a swimmer, this one is great for your breaststroke kick, or if you swim breaststroke, or if you're just, an active parent that needs to get up and down off the ground or grab something for your kid, or, it's just important that we have functional joints. So whether you're a endurance athlete or a grandparent, we do all kind of need to train joint integrity. So let's work on a little hip series coming up next. So that was a good little knee series. Let's do the same thing for the hip. So we're just going to get onto all fours. I'll show you from the side here. My foot's just directly out from my hip. And with my ankle is flexed here, but if you want to change that up a little bit, you may. And all we're going to do is just stretch out our adductors, or that long muscle on the inside of your thigh, and kind of like you're doing a little child's pose stretch in your upper body. That way you get kind of a bonus lat stretch while you're stretching out your legs. So a little adductor stretch here. If you need to put your knee down on a pillow, that's fine. If you're working out on a hard surface. Okay, and we're just gonna go up into a leg raise. So squeeze your core, lift your leg up, pause at the top, 1/1000, and then come down. Keep that core tight and don't allow your arms to bend, because that lets your hips out of the work, okay? So lift up, pause, and down. Squeeze that core tight, lift up, and down. So now we're strengthening up those hips. We're gonna add a little new flavor here. You're gonna rotate your foot at the top if you can. Ooh. And then bring it back. So I believe we're just gonna do 3 of these here with that little added twist. Literally, because we're twisting the foot at the top. Very good. Tough one. I know my hips feel this right now. Okay, so let's switch to the other side. We're just going to do the nice little adductor and lat stretch. We'll go into the leg raises with a hold, and then we'll add in those 3 little adductor rotation, whatever you want to call those. I don't really have a name for them, so that's why I just call this a hip series, but I like to practice, obviously, rotation and all that whenever I can. So thanks for giving it a try with me. And here we go. Lift up and hold. 1,000 and down. Arms strong, core strong. Up. 1,000 and reset. I got a little cramp there, so if you're at home and you're feeling the feels, I'm with you. Again, like I said, joint strength though. We're really working on like some deep stuff. So if you get a cramp here and there, just pause, let it work itself out. Obviously, we don't want any pain, but some of that deep feedback is normal when improving joint integrity and strength. Okay, there's our first one up into the rotation. So let's go ahead and lift the leg and rotate that toe upwards towards the ceiling as much as we can while raising it laterally. Good. We'll do 3 total, so just 1 more. Yeah, it burns. Hang in there with me. Lift up, squeeze the core tight. Rotate the toe up if you can. Nice job. Good job. Tough. Spine mobility next. So you can sit on a chair if you can't get into this position, but what we're going to do is start with basically a seated cat-cow, but we're adding rotation in. Okay, so if you just want to watch this one and then jump in, you can, but we're kind of, or if you just want to think about drawing a giant circle with your head and then drawing it backwards. So the idea is spine flexion, extension, and rotation. So kind of picture your spine being real bendy here and just make it feel good, okay? So you can see I'm kind of bowed into like a cat position. I'm just gonna take this directly into some cat-cow, and then if you wanna go back into the thoracic rotations with me, you can. I'll show you from the front. So kind of like you're bowing down or going into seated cat, and then start rotating the shoulders back. Arch or bend your spine like you're in kind of going into cow, and then finish out with the rotation through, and then we're just going to go back the way we came. So it's kind of like doing a spinal car or controlled articular rotation like we did at the knees and the shoulder. So think bendy spine that can also rotate. And if you want to do just a couple cat and cows seated, get the neck involved as much as you're able. Again, pain-free, but creating space in our spine, okay? Very good. Just wanted to show you a couple of those ones. 2 to 3 per day can just bring some life into your spine and back. Okay, grab that chair. You can do these on the ground if you're super fatigued or just starting out with exercise. We want the leg extended, not at a full 90 degrees on these. We're going to do 10 glute bridges. This is the single leg version. You could make this easier by doing it without your leg elevated, just on the ground, or you can just do regular bridges, which I'll show later on, without a foot elevated. But I would say I'm not great at math, but like a 30-degree bend in the knee. So not quite 90 degrees. We're gonna do a couple variations of knee angles on glute bridges, but we're gonna hold for 10 seconds at the top now. So what we're doing is 10 single leg bridges into a 10-second isometric hold. And that's just the count on my hands there. And then we'll switch legs. So if you watch that and it went by really fast, just hit rewind and start back over. So here we go, 10 single leg bridges with or without the chair. Modification would be both feet down and on the floor. Squeeze the core, squeeze the glutes. And we're holding now for 10. Great to work concentric, eccentric, which is just straight up and down movements like most strength movements are, as well as isometrics, which is constant tension, which we just did. All right, let's slide that tush in a little bit now, closer to our feet. So we've got a 90-degree bend at the knees, and we're just gonna do some glute bridges here. Again, you could be doing this on the ground, but just a different angle little bit different recruitment from the hips. Variety is the spice of life. So here we go. Keep those toes pointed up towards the sky if you can, and your heels firmly onto that chair if you're using it. Really drive those hips as you squeeze the tush and the core muscles. All right, great job on our glute bridge series. Grab some light dumbbells next. Okay, kneeling press. In hindsight, I should have showed you a modification first, but I'm going to show you my version. This is an aggressive position for the knee, so not all of us may be able to do this, in which case you can just do a standing shoulder press or a standing squat to press. Okay, but here I'm going from a knees flexed to a knees extended position as I squeeze my glutes and press overhead into a narrower military shoulder press. Really important that when we press weight overhead, we don't arch our back. We want to go straight up, like you're squeezing your biceps to your ears, okay? So we're gonna do about 10 to 12 of these total. Great for knee and hip mobility, great for shoulder strength, but again, drive those weights straight up. We wanna have excellent shoulder mobility like what we worked on in the warm-up so that we don't hurt our back or shoulders when lifting overhead, which is common later in life, I would say. You might not think it if you're kind of on the younger side like me, but it does happen, and I do work with a lot of seniors, so take my word for it. Okay, moving on to the half kneeling curl. So you're just gonna kneeling lunge position. You could kneel on a pillow if you need to. You're gonna curl on the right side, the left side, and then with both arms. Okay, we're gonna do several rounds of this. So here's round 2, curl, and then both arms. Good, here's round 3, right arm curl, left arm curl, both arms curl. Just a little variation here. You should feel a hip stretch while you're in this. Right arm, left arm, both arms. Looking good. And let's switch sides here, okay? So just mostly endurance focused. Get a little hip stretch, alternate it, and then we'll do a little biparallel movement here. So right, left together. Good. And just breathe with it. Make sure you're getting a good stretch and using weight that's appropriate for you. You could do this same thing standing if you're not comfortable kneeling. All right, looking good, you guys. Toning the arms up, getting the arms strong while working in that kind of athletic position there. That half kneeling position is one of my favorites, so very good. Okay, grab one weight. We're gonna do single leg triceps. So weight goes straight overhead, and we're just flexing and extending at the elbow joint to work the triceps, the back of the arms. Note how my leg is nice and tall there. My non-balancing leg is in line with my hip. If you don't have great stability yet, you could just step one foot in front of the other instead of doing it fully on one leg. So just try to shift your weight if you're not ready for the single leg version. And we'll just do 10 per side here because you're not going to really get any rest between sides. So switch it up here. Again, pull that knee up nice and tall. Triceps are really important in a lot of movements. Follow through if you're a throwing athlete, like football or baseball, really important for swimmers in the follow through part of their swim stroke. And also they look really nice. So if you're just somebody that's not really good, consider themselves an active sport athlete, we all want to have triceps that look nice. So the backs of the arms there. We also want great stability, which is why I put you on one leg for this. Fantastic. Nice job, you guys. All right, time for some step ups onto that sturdy chair that you have. So just make sure you're not going to hit your head like I've done several times. I've hit that light more times than I care to admit, but we're just going to step up. Here's level 1. You don't have to use weights either. You can do this body weight, depending on how hard your workouts maybe were today. So just a basic step up. These have all been on my right side. I'll show you how to progress this movement by taking that knee into a drive at the top. And if you'd like to choose that for the final 5, you can. We're just going to do 10 per side. And we're only going to do one set, mostly because I hate step ups, but also because I'm going to work the same muscle groups in a different movement right after this. So you'll see how it all plays out, but only one set of these, and we're doing 10 per side, either level 1 or level 2, like this one. Okay, let's switch sides here. Great exercise, I've always thought, for runners and cyclists. It just really translates really well if you hike and you have to like get up onto uneven surfaces. You're kind of essentially practicing that. So I do like to do these barefoot. I like to do all of my strength workouts barefoot, really. But if you're in a public place, you know, probably put shoes on. But this can really help with just kind of strengthening up the bottom of the feet as well. At least I found that. So again, talking through it. But if you want to take that knee into a drive at the top to make it a little more challenging for your stability, make it a little more run specific, work those hips a little bit differently, I invite you to do so. All right, nice job, guys. We're gonna go into a set of single arm rows. We're gonna do 2 sets back to back, okay? So get into a nice strong, think cat versus cow. We want the cow position in our spine. And 10 to 12 rows here per side. Just lifting that elbow towards the sky, pulling that weight towards our rib cage, towards our armpit. If you wanna place one hand like I have on that chair, just working some upper body strength, single arm, kind of bringing the core a little bit into it. And let's go to the other side again, 10 to 12. Moderate weight, heavier weight if you've done a lot of these recently and you feel ready for it. Notice here that I also just have soft knees and hips. So if I'm going too fast for you, hit pause and just do it on your own. 2 sets back to back, 10 to 12 per side. Great with a kettle if you have a kettlebell at home and you want to use that. And we're just going to go right into our second set because while one side was resting, the other side was working. So that can kind of just decrease some of that rest time and really help us get a good bang for our buck here in this endurance workout. And you know what they say, if you ain't rowing, you ain't growing. So let's grow a little bit today, guys. Let's work that strength, work the core, work the arms. And just check on that spine. If you need to do a couple cat and cow movements in your spine, just so you find that kind of more flat back position, that's what we're looking for on these today. Nice job. And we're just gonna take this, instead of doing another set of step ups, we're gonna do a rear foot elevated lunge. I'm gonna do it without weight because my legs are smoked. You could do this with weight, okay? So back foot elevated, I'll show you an easier or modified version if you're not quite ready for the elevated, and just do a split squat. But just like on our step ups, we're gonna do 10 per side, 10 to 12. Think good range of motion, strengthening quads, glutes, good for your stability. Again, great for runners and cyclists. It may be helpful for you to think, keep your joints stacked. Here's me remembering I gotta show more than one version. So if you all wanna do level 1, here's what level 1 would look like. You could also add weight to this to make it harder. You could hold a med ball, a physio ball, a kettlebell. You could hold 2 weights, you could hold 1 weight. That's also a fun variation, just hold 1 weight. But we'll get to a lot of that in the upcoming in-season workouts. Just kind of keeping it simple today. We can always go up from here. Okay, we're gonna do a tricky one now. So grab your moderate weights, lower your right arm down and your right leg, then your left arm and your left leg, and then both weights and both legs. I messed up while filming this, so don't worry if you mess up too. Right arm, right leg, left arm, left leg, both arms, both legs. So it's a chest press with sort of like an extended dead bug. And then both arm, both weights. Always come back to the weights over your shoulder and your feet over your hips. That might help some of you out that are struggling. So like this is home. Always come back to here. And take it slow. Right arm, right leg, left arm, left leg, both arms, both legs. Chest press, dead bug, V up combo. Just a little something fun for your core and your coordination that I wanted to throw out there. Okay, so we're gonna go into a forearm plank. And just alternating hip extensions or leg lifts, keeping the tush down. 20 of these, or if you want to just time yourself for 30 seconds. Just working core stability while bringing in some lower body mobility. Always like to get hip extension in, especially just with all the running and cycling I've been doing. So trying to add that in a lot as well. Looks good. All right, awesome work, you guys. Thanks for joining me today. See you again soon. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on all my workouts. We are starting a new in-season series, so I'll see you again soon.